but can we just remember that's not what the case is about. It's about the national injunctions. So when it comes to national injunctions, the question before them, where do we think that how they're going to rule?
I think if this had come up in a normal administration, there would be a good chance that nationwide injunctions would have been cut back a lot farther than I think they're going to be cut back with this, because even the conservative justices were kind of like, you know, and particularly Amy Coney Barrett is like, you know, she's just looking at them like it sounded like from the oral argument tape and from reading the transcript that she was looking at John Sauer like he had a hole in his head. Like, basically she's asking, okay, let's say you lose the case. Are you going to obey it in the next case? And he's like, well, generally, and basically the answer is, we're going to do whatever the heck we want. And they realize that that killing nationwide injunctions, killing universal injunctions at this moment in time is just a prescription for utter chaos and lawlessness.
I just watched a clip from, I guess it was from early this morning, where he's, giving a press conference somewhere there in the Middle East, and he was praising Saudi Arabia, and he was praising Qatar, and he was trashing United States presidents, and I was like, "What is this? I mean, you wouldn't even expect that from George W. Bush. Previously, George W. Bush was the gold standard of like bad presidents. He was the worst, the worst. You didn't think anybody would be worse, maybe with the exception of Richard Nixon, right?
Yeah.
And along comes Donald Trump, who makes George W. Bush look statesmanlike because he never trashed his predecessors.
And by the way, George Bush's blistering incompetence is what caused 9/11. He's the one that didn't listen to the warnings, despite them being very specific and very explicit, because they were like, "Oh, BJ guy told us, Bill Clinton, so who cares what he's is warning us about?" So, but you're right. At least he wasn't palling around with them like Donald Trump is. I mean, what's his name? Lutnick is like jollying it up with the guy, and he lost all of his employees at Cantor Fitzgerald that day. And he's like, over there yucking it up with the Saudi guy, right?
Well, Howard Lutnick, let's keep in mind, is that same guy who said, well, if my 90-year-old mother-in-law missed a Social Security check, she's not going to gripe about it. And the people who scream about it the loudest are the fraudsters. And you couldn't be more disconnected from reality.
Tell your whiny mom.
That guy.
Tell your whiny mom to shut up about her Social Security check. Okay. You just said Trump has thoroughly destroyed the prestige and honor of the office of the President of the United States by selling himself and openly accepting bribes. He is officially the prostitute of the United States. And we were saying every story has a more ridiculous level. That Qatar's been trying to get rid of this stupid used plane since 2020. Like, he's the biggest sucker in the world. On top of it, take this used thing that we're going to fill with bugs. And I mean, it's just, that you get to keep, and you get to keep the plane. Okay.
That's too funny. Yeah, you know what? I heard people talking about like retrofitting this thing so that it would be usable, and it would end up costing the American taxpayer $1 billion, and it would take several years. And frankly, I don't care if he's flying around in that thing and with a lot of bugs. And I mean, this is where I hate myself for saying that, because I should not be rooting for the bad guys to get our sensitive info. But this is especially kind of where the Trump will just give it to insanity has left me.
Trump will just give it to them anyway, depending on how much cash someone puts in his pocket. I mean,
yeah.
I loved your piece because it's so New York. The Times Square trick that explains Trump's whole con. And you said the most dangerous and basic and dangerous tourist trap game I've ever seen in New York City is played in Times Square, the 3-card Monte. Explain to those of us outside the 718 or the 212.
So it was my pleasure to take a walk down memory lane about three-card Monte. And the reason I brought it up is because that game, everybody's seen a version of that game. It's 3 cards, right?
Yeah.
3 cards folded the long way, and they're next to each other on a table. Usually this is like a makeshift, like cardboard or milk crate table, something that you don't care about, because if the cops show up, you're kicking that thing over and you're running.
Right.
And there are 2 black cards, a club and a spade, and the other one is a red card, like a diamond or a heart, right? And the trick is you have to keep your eye on the red card. And if you happen to be walking down the street in New York City and you see one of these, just keep walking, folks. Just keep walking, because it is a trap and it is a trick. You are not meant to win this game, despite the fact that they make it look so winnable.
Right.
First of all, there's about 7 to 10 people standing around this thing, and some they're clapping, as each person plays. Someone will bet like $100 and they'll win.
Yep.
And everybody claps, yay. And then somebody will bet $100 and they'll lose. And that guy acts like, he just got bitten by a mosquito. It's like, oh, it's no big deal. And everybody standing there has a thick knot of money.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's the key right there. Because you see that thick knot of money and you see so many people having all this cash, and you're like, well, I want some too. And it looks so easy. And that's how they reel you in. And before you know it, you're watching that red card. Somebody distracts you. They'll say cop, or someone will bump you, or something.
It's like Trump does with the news cycles. Look over there. It's like,
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that's why I brought it up. I also, folks, look out for those scams, man. Don't fall into Trump's crypto scam. Please don't. Your money, your hard-earned money, is too hard to come by, and yeah, don't
I love that.
help enrich
you just
them.
ended spot the red card. What is Trump hiding from you? Right. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many distractions, Majid, that we don't even know what's distracting from what anymore, though, right? Because there's one more outrageous or illegal or ridiculous thing a minute, practically.
His first term, that was like a running joke, right? It was like, what kind of scandal is he going to come up with to shift focus away from his last scandal? And it's literally like every week there, so far in this 100 and some odd days, there's been a new, at least 3 scandals per week.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the reason that he stacked the deck with such incompetent buffoons. All of them are a joke. They can't answer a straight question, like, what's her face? Kristi Noem.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so frustrating watching her
Yeah.
not answer a question. Murphy, Senator Murphy's like, what was it, Senator Murphy?
Yeah.
Saying,
Yes.
look at this picture.
Yeah. This was Swalwell. I think that was right. Yeah. No, and she won't admit that. No, it's photoshopped. Like, that's not on his hands. In America, personal religious beliefs should be just that, personal. But today, Christian nationalism is on the rise, threatening separation of church and state. Laws are being passed based on religious doctrine instead of reason, eroding our rights and freedoms in legislatures, public schools, even in courtrooms. One set of religious beliefs is being forced onto everyone else, but that's not what our founders intended. The Freedom from Religion Foundation is fighting back as the nation's leading group of free thinkers working to keep religion out of government. FFRF protects your right to think for yourself, whether you've always been secular, left religion behind, or simply believe in true religious freedom for everyone. If we don't stand up now, we may lose our religious freedoms. Join FFRF in defending our secular constitution and keeping faith a personal choice, not a government mandate. Visit ffrf.us/freedom to learn more, become a member, or text my last name Miller to 511-511, because in a truly free country, no one's faith should dictate everyone's future. Text Miller to 511-511 today.